Hello, my name is Stu Morris, and I'm the curator of America's Packard Museum. Today we are here with a rare and somewhat controversial Packard, the 1958 Packard Hawk. We're going to cover a lot of ground in this video, from its wild looks to its performance, and why the conversation about this car always gets steered towards what it meant to the Packard name.
Introduced in December of 1957, just 588 Packard Hawks were built, this one being number 209. This car features every option available for 1958, including electric windows, leather seats, power brakes, power steering, AM radio, and a Borg-Warner Flight-O-Matic 2-speed automatic transmission. Under its fiberglass hood sports a 289 cubic inch V8 that is fed by a McCulloch supercharger, giving the Hawk an extremely impressive 275 horsepower and 333 pound-feet of torque.
This power plant made it a real performer, beating both the Ford Thunderbird and the Chevrolet Corvette in the quarter mile, despite the car being about 500 pounds heavier.
The Hawk was designed by Duncan McRae, the chief designer of Studebaker Packard. Duncan took inspiration from Italian designs, most notably the Maserati 3500 GT. It has several striking features, including a sloping hood with a wide, low grille, large gold mylar fins, and a mock spare tire blister. It was initially designed as a one-off for Roy Hurley, the president of the Curtiss-Wright Corporation.
And here's where the story has to take a bit of a turn. You see, a few years earlier, in October of 1954, Packard bought and merged with Studebaker to make the Studebaker Packard Corporation. The idea was pretty simple. You take the three cars, Studebaker, Packard, and the cheaper Packard Clipper line, and by the next 3-year cycle, you'd have all of the cars sharing similar parts to reduce production costs. However, in 1956, the Curtiss-Wright Corporation, major shareholders in Studebaker Packard, and specifically the president, Roy Hurley, said that building cars in Detroit, Packard specifically for 1957, was simply unsustainable. And so it was, on June 25th, 1956, the last Packard rolled off the assembly line on East Grand Boulevard in Detroit. Some people say that that was the last true Packard. However, where does that leave the Packard Hawk?
For 1957, there were Packards, but for all intents and purposes, they were just badge-engineered Studebakers, all produced in South Bend, Indiana. The Studebaker Packard Corporation tried to hide it, but they didn't do a great job, as it was obvious that the new Packards were just Studebakers with Packard taillights and badges. The Packard Hawk is simply a dressed-up, fancier version of the Studebaker Golden Hawk.
In 1957, buyers weren't really warm to all this. Packard people didn't see these as proper Packards, and they thought it diluted the Packard name. And Studebaker crowd, they kind of felt the same way, but in their own right. The Packard Hawk in this configuration costs almost $3,500, when you could buy a Thunderbird or a Corvette for the same money in a lighter and arguably more attractive package. And it was a few $100s more than its sibling, the Studebaker Golden Hawk. Studebaker Packard didn't exactly want to build 1958 Packards, but they had a contract with their dealers, so they went ahead with production, albeit not a lot. They only made 2,622 Packards for the model year of 1958. The last Packard Hawk, number 588, was built on July 24th, 1958. And the last car to ever bear the Packard name was built on July 25th, 1958, in South Bend, Indiana. It was a Packard sedan. That's literally what they called it. And while this is a really nice example of one, a lot of people look at a Packard Hawk and go, that's not really a Packard, despite what it says on the front of the car. What I firmly believe is that this car serves as an epilogue to an epic car company. I want to thank our friends at the Studebaker National Museum for allowing us to display such a historically significant car, something we're missing from our collection. Now, again, my name's Stu Morris. I'm the curator of America's Packard Museum, and I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to listen to this, a little segment I want to call Ask the Man Who Knows One.
I'm Mark Risley. I've been a docent here at America's Packard Museum for about a year. All of the cars here are my favorite, but one of the ones that really stands out is the Packard Hawk. The styling on this was controversial when it first came out. People said it wasn't a Studebaker Hawk, and people said it wasn't a Packard. But its styling now seems to have come back around and is better appreciated. The sloping front nose on this, reminiscent of a shark's face, the hood scoops, the fins on the back, the mylar inserts on those fins, and we have a simulated Continental kit on the trunk deck. The interior of all leather, the headliner and the seats and the door panels. The door panels extend out to the outside of the automobile. This is to give a simulation of the old open cockpits of the old World War I aircraft. It's one of my favorite cars. Well, like I said, all of them here at America's Packard Museum are my favorites.